how to get off the emotional roller coaster. As women, we are emotional creatures, but how do we manage our emotions and not let them get the best of ourselves? So it's crazy to me as a society that we are not taught to manage our emotions. And I seriously think this should be required in schools. I mean, can you imagine how much better the world would be if people weren't constantly acting from their emotions? So today I want to share with you what I've learned and how much it's helped me as well as my clients move forward in their lives to just create a life of more balance with less of the high highs and the low lows. So make sure you listen to the end because after I give you the three strategies to understand what's happening with your emotions, I'm going to share how to get your emotions to obey you and not the other way around. So, welcome. My name is Kristen Kahns. My heart for making these videos is to inspire you to take action in your life and become the fullness of who you've been created to be. So, if that interests you, like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I would love to know your thoughts. So, what are emotions? Emotions are just vibrations in the body created by our thoughts. So, we can't have a feeling without first having a thought. So, in my younger years, my emotions were all over the place. I wish I would have understood that our thoughts create our feelings. So, pretty much always, we're creating our own drama by the thoughts that we're thinking that then create how we feel. And I know this might feel untrue because you say, Kristen, I can't control if this random thing happens in my life or if that person does that to me. And I agree, we cannot control life, but we can always control how we think about it. And this is where our power lies. So you can always trace your feelings back to a thought. But for us women, sometimes we have to do a little investigating to see what we're dealing with so that we can know how to best help ourselves. So we have to think, is this physical, is this mental, or is this spiritual? So this is what we need to evaluate. And this is the system that I use. And I'll kind of give you an example along the way. So when I wake up feeling really off, either I'm depressed or I'm really anxious, or maybe I'm just kind of angry, I've learned to stop and evaluate things versus just accepting the negativity and reacting to it and making kind of a mess out of my day and reacting to all the people around me and all the things. So the first area that I look at, number one, is my hormones. So if you don't track your menstrual cycle, I highly recommend that you get an app. That's how I track it. So I check my app and I see where I'm at. And usually if I wake up feeling like this, or if it's the first part of the day, I can look at my app and be like, oh, it's that day for me. And I know that I'm going to be a little more emotional. But this isn't a problem anymore because I know it's hormonal. And since I know it's hormonal and it will pass and this is normal, I now have a little more grace with myself. I allow myself a little more space. If I can take something off the calendar and say no to something that, I might know that might be a little more, take a little more out of me or be aggravating or triggering or something like that, and I can push it off to the following week, I'll do that. I just get a little more sleep and I try to help myself, my emotional well being during those few days, and it passes. So I just know that it's a week not to push myself like I normally do. All right. Because I know that I'll kind of be triggered. So knowing it's hormonal gives me peace that it's normal and I know my boundaries and what supplements, there's things that I can do to create an amazing day. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is going to be a bad day because I'm PMSing. It can be just like any other day. It can be an amazing day. So I don't use it as an excuse anymore to be in a bad mood. or to yell at everyone around me, or just to have a bad day in general. It's just data to prompt me to utilize the tools that help me a bit. So if I look at my calendar and it's not that time of month, the second thing that I evaluate is, what have I been thinking? So if I'm waking up feeling off, I think about, what did I go to bed thinking about? Or what was I just thinking as I woke up? And this easily pinpoints that I need to stop and decide, is this thought serving me? And do I want to choose a new thought? So sometimes it can be so simple. There really won't be anything wrong at all. It's just me operating on autopilot out of my subconscious mind, out of these bad thoughts that I've programmed in there. And so I might be thinking automatically, oh, I'm so tired, or I don't want to get up, or I have such a big day today and I don't feel like doing X, Y, or Z. So instantly, because of those thoughts, I'm feeling anxious. I'm a little depressed before I've even put my feet onto the floor. So when I stop and say, wait a minute, what did I just think? And is this thought serving me? I can say no. That was a thought error. And it makes me laugh. I use this all the time when I think something and I instantly know, like, that was not what I want to be thinking. I'm like, thought error, I'm discarding that. And I say, forgive me, Lord. Thank you for this day. Thank you that I get to do X, Y, or Z. And I just take a few minutes to have gratitude for my day. And I usually feel better just by pinpointing, gosh, I had a lot of subconscious thoughts that I didn't want to have. I'm choosing to have gratitude and be thankful. So if number one isn't the problem, my hormones, or if number two is not the problem, my thoughts, I move on to number three. Is this spiritual warfare? And spiritual warfare is real, but do not fool yourself in blaming everything on the enemy. It's usually us that are tripping ourselves up because of our thinking. But my remedy for spiritual warfare is to take communion. I plead the blood of Jesus over myself, and then I evaluate what's going on. So sometimes if I'm feeling like really intense emotions, the communion, this is my first go-to. And then I'll evaluate hormones or thoughts or whatever. I found that taking communion to be one of my greatest tools that always works. Why? Because I'm humbling myself and asking Jesus for forgiveness for anything known or unknown that I've done. And I'm pleading the blood of Jesus over me, and He is washing me clean so that I can align myself with His word and His ways so that I can move forward in wisdom and power in whatever I'm trying to do. So these three strategies help me to be in control of my emotions in my day. And we have to know that we are in control. Our emotions obey us, not the other way around. And the way we get our emotions to obey us is through our thoughts. And in the Bible, it's called taking our thoughts captive. And this is what I teach in my program. It's a step-by-step process to taking your thoughts captive and identifying what is tripping you up. So a really important shift in perspective is to make sure that you're viewing yourself as an overcomer and not a victim. So we either position ourselves through our thoughts to allow life to happen to us, or we take control. So that's a whole nother video, but just remember this, we're in control. So taking your thoughts captive, it's a skill set. It takes practice, and it's worth it, because then we're not on that roller coaster, that merry-go-round of being exhausted from our emotions being all over the place in one single day. I also want to mention a really key factor with our emotional health is that life is 50-50. So the 50-50 rule is 50% of the time we're in a positive emotion, and 50% of the time we are in a negative emotion. And that's just the way it is. That's the human experience. So if we're feeling a negative emotion, it's not always a bad thing, because if you think about it, how can we know what true joy, what love is, if we've never experienced heartache or loss? We have to know the negative to fully appreciate the positive. So, pushing your emotions down or to the side or ignoring them and trying to always be positive is a recipe for disaster. This is called toxic positivity. Do not do this. We are not trying to be positive all the time. Allow yourself to have a good cry. Feel the emotion. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel any negative emotion, but then we move on. So it might come in waves depending on circumstances in our life. It could take time depending on the situation, but don't feel like something's gone wrong or that it's not normal to not be happy all the time. I want to tell you, it is normal. You are normal. You are a normal human, and it's part of our human experience. Okay. So I hope these tips and evaluating these three areas kind of helps take the mystery out of navigating your emotions and puts you back in the driver's seat to move forward in your day. So if this video blessed you, like, subscribe, comment below, and I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.